sexual situations and found myself in them. And for the adult me, that's still trying to heal all the stuff that
I would say that they're more like surprises because they have beginnings, middles, and ends. It's not just a matter of, hey, there's the person and we move on. They're there for a reason, and I'm really excited about that. As I've gotten a little older, I've realized how lucky I am to work in this industry for so long, and I want to make the most of it by collaborating with people who truly inspire me. Welcome back to Pop. Let's dive headfirst into Hollywood, the land of glamorous premieres, red carpet grins, and secretive text chains that can explode faster than popcorn in a microwave. Just when you thought things couldn't get wilder, Joe Rogan threw some serious shade at Ryan Reynolds, and the timing couldn't have been worse. The heat is on Reynolds, the man who skyrocketed to global fame with his sharp-witted portrayal of Deadpool, the mercenary with a mouth. Add his stunning wife Blake Lively, who once had the world eating out of her hand, and the wholesome Justin Baldoni, and it sounds like the perfect rom-com recipe. But what we actually have is a full-blown soap opera packed with leaked messages, whispers of a power-hungry dragon squad, and even real lawsuits. The drama is escalating fast. There's a fan-favorite anti-hero possibly pushing Marvel's limits, an actress whose backstage maneuvers have made people nervous, and Justin Baldoni, a multi-talented filmmaker caught in the crossfire while trying to create a heartfelt movie. Hollywood may sell itself as boy meets girl, but this story proves that when the cameras stop rolling, the real drama is juicier and wilder than any script. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because, let's be honest, I wouldn't be here without your support. Rewind to when Deadpool was just a wild idea. Ryan Reynolds, previously known for rom-coms and comedic side roles, saw that offbeat mercenary as his big break. It was a true underdog story. Reynolds pushed for an R-rated superhero flick full of snark and fourth-wall breaks that would make any studio exec sweat. Leaked test footage shows that Reynolds had more than a casual hand in creative decisions, but who's keeping track? Marvel, charmed by his wit and the promise of massive box office hits, gave him more creative control than usual. Reynolds basically became the homecoming king of the Deadpool set, complete with swagger and star power. The first movie was a smash hit. The second was almost as big, but success has a funny way of inflating egos faster than a helium tank at a kid's birthday party. Whispers started spreading. Insiders claimed Reynolds had become the studio's favorite nightmare, 1 minute delivering the perfect on-brand joke, the next brushing off panicked Marvel execs waving red flags like a mad airport ground crew. Meanwhile, on a completely different set, Justin Baldoni was living his best life, known for his genuine kindness, humility, and those roles that make your grandma exclaim. Now there's a nice boy. Baldoni had taken on an enormous challenge, directing, writing, and starring in the Colleen Hoover adaptation, It Ends With Us. That's a lot for anyone to handle, but Baldoni's boundless energy, relentless optimism, and can-do attitude seemed limitless. The kind of drive that could make even the most seasoned motivational speaker nod in approval. Everything seemed promising at first. Baldoni's heartfelt vision for the film, coupled with his authentic approach to storytelling, created a set full of excitement and dedication. Enter Blake Lively, stunning, multi-talented, and far from content with a role that didn't allow her to shine fully. At first, the collaboration seemed perfect. Fans of the book were thrilled, anticipating that the duo's combined star power would bring a faithful, emotionally rich adaptation to the screen. But behind the scenes, the story took a complicated turn. Rumors suggest that tension began to rise when Lively felt her character wasn't being given the depth and attention it deserved. She's not someone to quietly accept a role she feels is underdeveloped, and her passion for fully realizing her characters often translates into fierce advocacy on set. Meanwhile, Baldoni, juggling the enormous responsibilities of directing, writing, and performing, may have been too focused on his multitasking to notice the storm brewing. Minor disagreements escalated into whispers, and soon gossip began circulating that Baldoni privately found Lively challenging to work with, considering Baldoni's normally sunny and easygoing demeanor. This revelation startled many, like hearing the Dalai Lama describe someone as difficult. Fans and industry insiders began asking themselves the burning question: was Lively genuinely difficult, or was she simply fighting to protect her character's integrity and ensure her performance was treated with the care it deserved? Then, just when the story couldn't get any more intense, a batch of private text messages leaked, creating a whirlwind of speculation and jaw-dropping headlines. Lively, in those messages, casually referred to her powerful allies, including her husband. Ryan Reynolds asked her dragons, hinting at a carefully constructed, behind-the-scenes network prepared to defend her image and protect her professional interests at all costs. Now, calling your crew after fire-breathing mythical creatures isn't inherently shady, or at least it wouldn't be in most universes, unless, of course, those dragons were actively being used to intimidate, manipulate, or roast anyone who stood in her way. Fans and industry insiders alike spiraled into speculation, imagining what lengths these so-called dragons might go to preserve Lively's image and maintain control behind the scenes. About a month ago, this story really hit home for me personally. I was sitting in traffic, headphones on, jamming my dreams and ideas by heart, and feeling like I was completely killing it in my own small universe. It had the whimsical, larger-than-life energy of a live-action Pixar movie, full of creativity and hope, where everyone was working together and nobody was getting metaphorically stabbed in the face. Yet in Hollywood, even a tiny spark of tension can ignite into a wildfire, and what seemed like harmless ambition or protective loyalty on Lively's part quickly became fodder for endless gossip, speculation, and rumor. Suddenly, a story that started as a collaboration between talented creatives had evolved into a tangled web of ambition, ego, and power plays, leaving fans and insiders desperate to decipher what was real and what was carefully curated for maximum effect. Were they subtly planting tabloid gossip or setting up cozy interviews that spun negative press into glowing, feel-good fluff pieces? If you've ever had a friend call you ride or die, you get the idea, but this was something else entirely. It wasn't just loyalty or friendship. It was as if Blake Lively had an entire army backing her, with serious power lurking behind the scenes. When these private messages leaked, the fallout hit like a bombshell, and Marvel executives, already on edge from Ryan Reynolds' growing influence over Deadpool, were suddenly thrust into crisis mode. If Reynolds was somehow entwined in this dragon-powered ring of protectors, then his reach extended far beyond cracking jokes and delivering snarky punchlines. It wasn't just about Lively's on-set demands or Reynolds' comedic genius anymore. It was the chilling possibility that the pair were orchestrating an entire shadowy PR operation, pulling strings from the shadows like true Hollywood puppeteers. Marvel, notoriously protective of its franchises, saw this as a potential threat to control. Could Reynolds' influence inspire other actors to hijack blockbuster projects, turning them into personal soap operas under the guise of creativity? Executives, clutching stress balls as though their lives depended on it, immediately questioned the intentions behind every quip and every joke. Were Reynolds' remarks purely Deadpool-style meta-humor, or was there a darker, more personal undercurrent? Some insiders even joked that if Deadpool's script included him poking fun at a corny, overextended director juggling everything, it would hit uncomfortably close to home, eerily mirroring Baldoni's real-life multitasking persona. Marvel likely foresaw the headlines forming: Deadpool burns humanitarian director, fans outraged at studio demands rewrites. Reynolds, true to form, refused to back down. He insisted the jokes were bold, clever, and quintessentially Deadpool, pure meta-comedy, designed to make audiences laugh. But what had once been comedic gold began spiraling into dangerous territory, potentially airing real-life grievances under the guise of satire. Rumors escalated that Marvel was considering legal action, possibly gearing up for a lawsuit or gag order to prevent Reynolds from trampling over creative and corporate decisions. Nothing says "we appreciate you" quite like a legal caution slapped on a beloved star. Legal caution slapped on a beloved star.
I'm the youngest baby possible. So we found this 14-day-old baby. The baby would just start screaming. Then trying to get our lines out before the baby starts crying again.
The studio's underlying concern was simple: too much freedom for Reynolds could encourage other actors to take similar liberties, jeopardizing the careful balance of blockbuster filmmaking. Hollywood gasped in shock. Once the king of witty one-liners and philanthropy, Reynolds now faced the very real risk of becoming a cautionary tale, his sharp-edged humor boomeranging into controversy. Other studios hesitated on future projects, unsure if his charm could survive the potential fallout. Meanwhile, Blake Lively's world was flipping upside down. Once celebrated for her chic fashion, picture-perfect family moments, and effortlessly witty social media posts, the media began painting a very different story. Rumors suggested that Lively might have been secretly running her own PR machine, pulling strings behind the scenes to overshadow co-stars, control narratives, and safeguard her public image at all costs. The leaked texts painted her in a new light: strategic, calculating, and unafraid to bend the rules to protect her interests. Her once squeaky clean reputation now bore scorch marks from whispers of manipulation and shadowy orchestration. Fans and insiders were split. Some applauded her for mastering the ruthless Hollywood game, while others viewed her actions as veering into outright sabotage. Public opinion became a tangled mess of admiration, suspicion, and intrigue, and the million-dollar question loomed large: could Ryan Reynolds actually lose his iconic role as Imagine it: Deadpool without Reynolds. It's like trying to picture peanut butter without jelly, a combination that simply shouldn't exist. As Marvel grappled with potential legal threats, media scrutiny, and the dual storm of Reynolds' audacious humor and Lively's calculated maneuvering, Hollywood found itself captivated by a story that blurred the line between real, between playful jest and high-stakes drama. One thing was crystal clear: the world had a front-row seat to a scandal that was anything but scripted, and both Reynolds and Lively were at the center of the storm, wielding influence, ambition, and power like dragons, breathing fire behind the scenes. Unthinkable, but shockingly, this possibility was being whispered behind closed doors. Rumor had it that Marvel, determined to maintain absolute control over its franchise, might even consider recasting Deadpool. Can you imagine the meltdown on social media if that happened? Chaos, outrage, memes for days. Reynolds has practically become the face of Deadpool as humor. Style and presence are inseparable from the franchise's wild success, and yet, Marvel is bigger than any single actor. If Reynolds were allowed to continue calling the shots unchecked, it could set a dangerous precedent, opening the door for other stars to hijack blockbuster projects in the same way, potentially derailing other massive productions. The stakes were enormous. Every joke, every meta-comment, every backstage maneuver was suddenly under intense scrutiny. Reynolds, the man who had mastered the art of fourth-wall breaks and razor-sharp humor, was now facing serious pushback from studio executives worried about control. Meanwhile, Blake Lively's strategy continued to make waves. The combination of leaked texts, mysterious dragons, influential allies, and her behind-the-scenes maneuvering left Hollywood guessing. Was this brilliance or was it overreach? Either way, the fallout was undeniable. Reynolds' star power was under siege, Marvel's trust was wavering, and Lively's once pristine reputation was taking fire like never before. For Reynolds, losing Deadpool wouldn't just be another career bump, it would be a full-blown comic tragedy. The role he had fought so hard to build from the ground up could slip right out of his hands because of his own behind-the-scenes antics. Talk about a plot twist worthy of a superhero script. Hollywood, the land where glitz and glam are just a thin veil over a boiling pot of drama, proved once again that nothing is ever simple. Without tension, ego clashes, and PR warfare, Tinseltown would be as bland as tofu at a barbecue. The Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively vs. Marvel debacle is the latest reminder that the real power plays in Hollywood happen off-camera. Studios love to believe that their intellectual properties are untouchable golden geese, guarded like treasure chests by knights in suits. But in the era of social media, a single actor with a massive online fan base can wield influence powerful enough to make even the most seasoned executive scramble for cover. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, the seemingly unshakable, good-hearted filmmaker, sits quietly in the chaos. All he wanted was to make a meaningful movie, sprinkle in some feel-good moments, and remind audiences to be kind. Simple, noble intentions. Yet somehow he found himself entangled in one of the most dramatic showdowns Marvel has seen since someone seriously asked, should we bring back Howard the Duck? This saga could fundamentally reshape how studios handle their biggest stars. Marvel might emerge from the fray with a renewed commitment to maintaining tight control over its billion-dollar empire, ensuring no actor, no matter how beloved, can wrest creative power away from the studio. At the same time, the story has cemented a new truth about Hollywood. Behind every red carpet, every champagne toast, every carefully curated Instagram post, lies a battlefield of ambition, influence, and strategy. Surprises in Tinseltown aren't random, they have beginnings, middles, and explosive ends. The Ryan and Blake drama proves that even the brightest stars must navigate a minefield of alliances, egos, and calculated moves, where the consequences of one misstep can ripple across the entire industry. Or maybe, just maybe, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively will prove that star power, when wielded strategically, can bulldoze through even the most rigid corporate roadblocks. And so, here we are, at the climax of this wild Hollywood soap opera. On one side, Marvel holds its potential lawsuit like a sharpened sword, ready to cut down the irreverent comedic powerhouse that is Reynolds. On the other side, Reynolds stands tall, smirk firmly in place, fighting to preserve Deadpool's trademark irreverence while safeguarding his creative space and influence over the franchise. Not far behind, Blake Lively is facing a relentless media storm, the leaked texts painting a picture of someone potentially pulling strings, orchestrating dramas, and maneuvering behind the scenes in ways that leave Hollywood buzzing. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni continues to do what he does best, spreading kindness, creating meaningful movies, and somehow staying above the chaos that threatens to consume others. In a world where ambition, egos, and PR machines collide, he stands almost as an emblem of sanity and decency, quietly reminding everyone that Hollywood doesn't have to be a battlefield. But Reynolds and Lively, they are right in the thick of it, playing the ultimate high-stakes game of influence, celebrity, and power. Will Reynolds come out on top, cracking jokes while sliding back into Marvel's good graces? Can Lively bounce back from Dragongate with her reputation intact? Or is the scorch mark permanent? And is Baldoni Hollywood's real-life Captain America minus the super serum, but armed with decency, optimism, and boundless energy? The questions keep buzzing, and the plot thickens by the day. No matter how this ride ends, one thing is crystal clear. Hollywood doesn't just make movies, it manufactures drama. Irony is its secret weapon, gossip its currency. And behind every red carpet smile lies a story that's far juicier than the script. Right now, we're all spectators, popcorn in hand, watching as the once untouchable Deadpool star squares off with the giant that helped launch him into super. Will this become an epic underdog tale for the ages, or will it spiral into a cautionary comedy of errors? The answer could come in another leaked text, a surprise statement, or maybe at the box office itself. One thing is for sure, in Tinseltown nothing is predictable, nothing is safe, and the dragons, the metaphorical or literal kind, aren't done scorching anyone who dares cross their path. Every alliance, every maneuver, Every sly joke carries weight, and the stakes have never been higher. This is Hollywood in its purest form. Glitz, chaos, strategy, and spectacle all rolled into one. So, stay tuned, because the next chapter in this saga is already unfolding behind the scenes, and you can bet it will be full of the twists, turns, and drama that keep us all hooked. Thanks for following along. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single juicy detail. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and keep your finger on the pulse of Hollywood's ever-spinning drama machine.